If a person has no money, it's bad. If a person has money, it's also bad. It's bad because when you have money, it quickly runs out, especially for those who don't know how to manage it properly. And with big money, there are even more problems, because you need to know how to protect and hide it. Of course, you'll say that the problem with big money is preferable to the problem associated with its absence. And I agree with this, in principle, but not in cases where we're talking about fools, for whom money is generally contraindicated, because a fool with money, especially with big money, is a big problem. In this article we will talk about those situations in our lives when we either have no money at all, or so little that it is equivalent to not having any at all. And in such cases it may seem to us that we have nothing to do, that all the doors are closed to us, that without money we are of no use to anyone. In a word, complete gloom and depression, no joy from life without money. But in reality this is not so. Without money you can do a lot, and if you want you can open any doors, and you can interest any people. In some cases, money, on the contrary, is harmful to a person, because it narrows the scope of his interests to the most primitive dimensions. Just remember how people sat all day in casinos, stupidly hammering one button and losing all their money in them. Is that life? Only a vegetable can live like that, not a person. And there are plenty of such examples, like people have money, but they are like zombies, always doing the same thing, either stupid shopping or some other nonsense. Money is created to be spent, and happiness lies in the amount of money we have. That's what those who do not know how to live and enjoy life without money, which, as we all know very well, is always in short supply, can tell you. And since there is little of it, then there will also be little joy in our lives. Is it logical? No, it is not logical. If you approach life from a different, more correct side, approaching from which you can see a lot of opportunities that people obsessed with money do not see. In general, let's find out what to do when there is no money. And to begin with, let's turn our attention to a simple example. Let's say that one child has a lot of different toys that he can play with whenever he wants. How will this child behave with these toys in this case? I believe that after playing enough, this child will start to treat them extremely carelessly. They will lose all value for him, because this is exactly what happens in the overwhelming majority of cases. And over time, he will want something new, while everything old will completely stop making him happy. And where can he get this new? Ask his parents? That's how it will be. And if you constantly buy this child new toys, his thinking will be formed in such a way that he will believe that everything interesting, everything new, what he needs and wants, can only be bought. This will be consumer thinking, capable of two main functions, working for money and consuming. Now let's think about how another child will behave, who has few toys, but who also wants to get maximum pleasure from playing with them. What will he do in this case? He will do what I did when I was little and had no toys. He will imagine, fantasize, come up with something, and make something with his own hands from what he has. He will take good care of his toys and things in general. He will be practical. I am not saying that all people do this, but many people, according to my own observations and according to psychologists, do exactly this. When they have little of something, they, firstly, value it, secondly, use it as practically as possible, and thirdly, they creatively manage their resources. In particular, this is how children who have few toys behave. Therefore, the absence of something in our lives is compensated by our intelligence and imagination, thanks to which we not only learn to solve any problems with the help of the resources we have, but also make our lives more interesting, because fantasizing, inventing, imagining and creating is so interesting. After all, we are born people for this. Now do you understand what you can do and what you need to do when you have no money? Start creating, inventing, imagining, fantasizing. Look for other ways to achieve the goals you need. Look for opportunities to find money when you don't have it, to achieve your goals. In other words, use your brain to the fullest extent, let it give birth to something. But that's not all. Want to know what else to do when you have no money? Take care of yourself. Health, education, recreation, cultural events. That's what you need to pay attention to. And don't say that you need money for all this. If you do need it, then in small quantities, and in some cases you can do without it at all. Who's stopping you from collecting medicinal herbs and treating yourself with them, which in some cases is much more effective than eating all sorts of chemicals that doctors prescribe to us, who are not particularly interested in our health? Who's stopping you from reading books that are accessible to most people, either in libraries or on the internet, or reading educational articles on sites like this? Who's stopping you from devoting time to rest, not necessarily at some seaside, but simply relaxing in nature, where you live? In my opinion, no one is stopping you. Likewise, no one is stopping you from visiting parks, inexpensive museums, other interesting places that can instill in you aesthetic feelings. You just need to pay attention to them. In addition, I recommend that you do things that concern you and your family, spend time with your loved ones, talk to them, go on vacation together, do something together with them. Any joint work brings people together. In general, pay attention to the people dear to you. You don't need money for this. This will be a huge contribution on your part to the happiness of your loved ones and your own happiness. I also recommend that you spend more time reading books and articles. Expand your horizons. This will make your life easier and more interesting. Throw away the TV, if you have one, but get yourself some interesting books. They, unlike the TV that harms your brain, will develop your brain. Being smart is vitally important in our time. The world is starting to move along the path of technocratic development. It increasingly begins to need smart people who are able to solve complex problems. There are a lot of illiterate blockheads today who consider banter to be a manifestation of wit and appreciate flat jokes. You won't hear anything useful from them and you won't get anything smart, and they don't read books. They're not interested in them. Such people will proudly tell you something like, "We live on the earth. We didn't graduate from academies, and that's it." Well, you know where such blockheads belong, and if you want to occupy a worthy place in life, devote time to reading books and useful articles. You won't lose anything, rather the opposite. And you don't need money for this, at least not a lot of money. Well, I think you understand everything and you will find something to do without using money, so I will allow myself to return to the topic of creativity, to which I attach special importance. You will sort out your affairs, I am absolutely sure of this, but you also need to somehow solve your problems with money, so as not to limit yourself in anything and not to deny yourself anything. Your lack of money is an excellent opportunity to learn how to earn it correctly. I declare with full responsibility that it is best to develop all sorts of business plans and set the most ambitious goals for yourself when a person has no money at all. Even a business is best created from scratch. I am convinced of this myself. My first business was damn simple. I followed the example of many of my friends and went into trade. But in order to, so to speak, fit into this business and grab my piece of the pie, I came up with a lot of tricks that helped customers notice me against the background of other sellers. I attracted customers to myself like a magnet. The first and main thing I focused on was the quality of service, which in my opinion should be as competent, courteous and fast as possible. Later, when I started hiring salespeople, I selected professionals, not sparing money for their salaries. I was even ready to put up with some of them stealing in moderation, realizing that many steal, as long as they worked with people as professionally as possible. And it all started with the fact that I had no money for any advertising, no money for the ideal arrangement of my retail space, and I needed to compensate for this with the most professional customer service. You will say that there is nothing surprising in this, that there is nothing new in this, that the client is always right and so it is known, and in general all salespeople are taught the ability to communicate correctly with people. That is so, but can you really say that the service in our stores is exactly what it should be? Even if you look at the latest news about incidents in large retail chains, which, from my point of view, were caused by incompetent salespeople and managers who do not know how and do not want to work with people in a humane and professional manner, it becomes clear that our service is not very good. So I did not come up with the concept of working with customers, with clients. I came up with ways to implement it. I do not think that boorish salespeople add popularity to retail chains, but how can the heads of these chains make normal people out of these salespeople who will work professionally? That is the question, friends. And I solved it, at the very beginning, when I created my first simple business. You need to be able to motivate employees, and to do this, you must first learn to motivate yourself, for which you must feel the need to learn to understand, if not all people, then most of them. It is not difficult to do this on an empty stomach, believe me, so if you have no money, go hungry, it will only benefit you. But money often only spoils everything, both the person and the business he does. Look at what happens to well-fed, spoiled people who have a lot of money. Don't they become impudent? Don't they turn into insolent boors? Look at how our monopolists bend their fingers, putting their clients at nothing, and only monopoly helps such impudent pig companies stay afloat. The most common thing they do with their clients is to deceive them, and sometimes quite cynically and openly. And why should they take anyone into account? They have a lot of money, they have influence too, so they don't have to be people. That's why they say that money spoils people, although it spoils those who are already rotten. But when there is no money, but a person decides to go into business, then he will be a sweetheart. And he will figure it out well, where and what to get, how to organize the work competently, and his prices will be attractive, and the service will be at the highest level. It will be a pleasure to deal with him. So friends, go into business if you have no money. This activity will not only help you earn money, it will also be good for all of us. We as consumers will only benefit from it. Only a sophisticated businessman can become an excellent counterweight to the fat cats, monopolists and parasitic bureaucratic apparatus. The lack of money should turn and often turns a person into a predator, ready to fight for his life. And when you are somehow fed, with small salaries, benefits, pensions and other infections, you become weak. In general, friends, if it so happened that you have no money now, but you have free time, rejoice in it. God took pity on you and gave you the opportunity to find a door to a new world in which you have a lot of opportunities. Let your creativity and fighting spirit show themselves. Set ambitious goals and forget about money as a way to achieve them. Trust only in your head, it seems to be always with you. Keep in mind that money brings more harm than good to a weak-minded person. It prevents weak people from being predators in this life. Money is good only when a person, thanks to his hunting qualities, was able to get it. It becomes a reward for a strong, smart, brave, creative, persistent person. And for someone who does not have all these and many other strong qualities, money is harmful. So forget about money and do whatever you want. You will succeed in everything if you rely on your mental abilities, and not on money.